And welcome to SWBA Today. This is episode number 1. And on this show, we talk about nothing but SWBA. And so today we are going to be looking at the SWBA scoreboard. We're going to be looking at the top stories that came out of last night's games. We're also going to be looking at the SWBA most improved player. This is a player that I certainly think has done a terrific job this season. We're also going to be looking at the MVP watch because there are two players that have played an exceptional season thus far in SWBA. And lastly, we are going to be looking at a future prospect. Had a chance to look at SWU over the weekend, and there's a prospect that I certainly think once they become available, they are absolutely going to make it to the SWBA level. And so let's go ahead and start with the scoreboard and just looking at just the key takeaways from last night's games. There were 4 games in total, and we're going to start with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are top of the Eastern Conference here in SWBA. They get beat by the Los Angeles Clippers 132 to 119. And so I think, just the key storylines are that this is the Cavs' second loss in a row. So this is 2 in a row that they have dropped. And I think that this is more about the Los Angeles Clippers and just how exceptional that they played. Because when you look at the stars for them, Kawhi Leonard had 33 points. He had 7 rebounds. He had 4 assists and 4 steals. He was +9. And man, he was super efficient from the field. He only missed 1 3-point attempt. He was 5 of 6 there, 4 of 4 from the line, 12 of 19 from the field. And then James Harden. Look, James Harden has played very well for the Clippers all year. I think he's probably been the most dependable player there. 22 points. He had 9 assists in this one. He was +3 in the plus-minus box score. And James Harden doing James Harden things and getting to the free throw line. He was 10 of 11 there. So he did a great job as far as drawing fouls. And then they got a contribution here from Norman Powell, who I think that you could probably say might be the SWBA 6th man of the year at this point in time with his 11 points. He was 4-4 from the free throw line. He's been out due to some injuries. But I think that the MVP for the Clippers and really why they won this game is just Zubac and his ability to dominate inside. He had 28 points. And he had 20 rebounds on his birthday. I mean, he played an incredible game. I cannot believe that he was a negative in the plus-minus box score with -4, but he was. And I think that his contributions on the board and just the way that he continued to beat the Cavs up. Look, the Clippers out-rebounded the Cavs 49 to 29 in this game. And so that was just complete dominance from the Clippers. And you have to give them a lot of credit, too, talking about the Clippers defensively, because in the third quarter, they outscored the Cavs 38 to 29 there. They outscored them in the fourth 26 to 17. And so they do a great job. And with the Cavs, look, I think that Jared Allen, you want to see him play a little bit more better in this one. He only had 8 points and then 8 rebounds. So I think that that was probably a key for them. And then it's always going to be about the others. I think that they got a good contribution from the starting 5. But for me, I think that the real test for the Cavs is going to be the bench, and it's also going to be, can they stay healthy? And so in this game, they lose. I don't think that it's a panic mode just yet, for the Cavs. They've lost 2. Again, this was a feisty Clippers team. And so next up, I wanted to look at the Warriors versus the Milwaukee Bucks. And so the Warriors were able to pull this one out 104 to 93. I think that you have to give the Milwaukee Bucks a lot of credit here as they were able to battle back in this game. They actually won the third quarter 32 to 20, but the Golden State Warriors were able to lock up and take care of business in the fourth. And so I think that the key takeaway out of this is just Draymond Green and his ability to defend. I think that he defended Giannis at a high level. I believe going against Draymond Green, I don't think that Giannis hit a shot. I think that Draymond Green's defense was that good. In 36 minutes, he had 5 fouls, but look at this. He was +14 in the plus-minus box score, and he had 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks, and 3 points. That's just Draymond doing Draymond-like things. And so, look, Draymond Green, he looked like the Draymond Green from 6-7 years ago out there. And so that is huge for this Golden State Warriors team. And then Jimmy Butler, not enough is made about Jimmy Butler and his contribution and how he has really worked with this offense. I think that this is an offense that really maximizes the player and then ball ball movement, and Jimmy Butler has fit in perfectly. And I love the fact that they get him the basketball and let him kind of operate and do the things that he's done and been successful with in the SWBA level, which is the half court game. I think he excels at the post-ups, and he excels at getting to the free throw line. He got to the free throw line just 4 times in this game. But since Jimmy Butler has been with the Golden State Warriors, they have gone, I think, from last as far as free throw attempts and things like that. They've actually gone up to be one of the better teams right now in SWBA to getting to the free throw line and converting. And so I think that that is going to be huge, especially when it comes down to playoff time. He had 24 in this game, speaking of Butler, and he also had 10 assists. This was without Steph Curry, who sat out, I think, due to rest. But you have to give the young guys a lot of credit as well. Quentin Post had 14. Brandon Brzezinski, he had 17 as well. And then Buddy Hield, look, he had 15. And then they got Jonathan Kuminga to give him 10 in a tough night. But I love the fact that he got to the free throw line. And so a tough one here for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're still right there in this thing. I mean, they're 5th in the Eastern Conference. And so I do like the way that they fought back. And so next up, the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets. And so here's the key takeaway out of this. And so Boston, they essentially were without Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If you did not get a chance to see that, both of these players are dealing with some knee injuries. I think that, Jason Tatum, it's more of like a tendonitis kind of thing. And then from what I'm reading with Jaylen Brown, it's something to do with maybe a tendon or something like that in the back of his knee. But right now, when you look, both of them are listed as questionable, so that's a good sign. But the bottom line for the Celtics is this. We know who they are. They've, obviously been to the top of the mountain, but I think that this was a huge game for them because they got a chance to really see what else that they have. Because I think that, what they've discovered over time is that they certainly have something with Peyton Pritchard, but they got a great contribution here from Baylor Shireman. He used to play for Creighton. He has done some great things as a jump shooter at the college level. And in last night's game, he had 20 points. He was 6 of 7 from deep, and he was 7 of 8 from the field. And look, he was +4. And so I would have to think that, look, if they're going to make another run and they feel like that they can go to their bench, I just think that this makes Boston just that much more dangerous. And so I think that this was huge for them, that they got a chance to really go out there and play some players that just maybe would have not played. And, he had to go a little bit more deeper into the rotation, and you have to give him credit. And then Kristaps Porzingis, I think that he plays pretty well with the 25 points and the 13 rebounds. I think he's obviously going to be key for them as he continues to work back up from being injured. And so lastly, the Hawks, and then we have the Charlotte Hornets. And so, look, this was a game that was all about the Hawks. And what I'm most impressed with is Trae Young. I think that Trae Young and his leadership, I think, has been very impressive to me, because I know that they're sitting 7th right now in the SWBA Eastern Conference. But what I've been very impressed with Trae Young is his ability to assist the basketball at a high clip. Right now, he's actually leading in assist at 11.4. He's over top of the Joker there at Denver at 10.3. And so, look, Trae Young, I think he's quietly done a great job as far as leading this team. It sounds crazy to say that, he's the older veteran right now. But look, this is a very young team, and you have to give him a lot of credit. And then you also, too, have to like the fact that they have been getting some good contributions here from Dyson Daniels. And so Dyson Daniels had 22 points in this game. He had 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals. We're going to talk about him in a moment. Trae Young had 31 points in this game, 8 rebounds, 3 steals. And what's wild about this is that if you look at the plus minus for all the starters for the Hawks in this game, +35, +26, +21, +32, +25. You talk about efficiency. They just literally took it to the Charlotte Hornets. And so that is the scoreboard, and just looking at the 4 games from last night. And so that leads us to the next point here. And we're looking at the SWBA Most Improved Player award right now. And so for me, I think it comes down to one player and one player only. And that is going to be going back to the Atlanta Hawks here and looking at Dyson Daniels. I think that Dyson Daniels has done just a fabulous job as far as just what he's done and just really where he's come from, because we're going to take a look at the numbers here. And I just think that when you look at the numbers, you look at his impact and what he's doing. And I know a lot of people probably don't know what he's doing because Atlanta is just not that great and they've been trending into the play-in situation. But, here's a look at his numbers and just how good he has done. And so first and foremost, you're going to see that his scoring has absolutely gone up. I think that has been just a real good indication of just how improved that he has been. You see that, look, he's gone from just having single digits all the way up to double figures now. So he started off his rookie year with the Pelicans, 3.8 points a game, all the way up to 14.1 points a game. So that's number one. You see the huge increase in the points. But then look at the fact of the steals. Look, he leads the league right now in steals. I think we should maybe call the authorities, because this guy, he is he takes the basketball away, right? And so somebody, as anybody in SWBA, should be on alert, because if you have the basketball out and around, he is a guy that is a thief master. So with 3 assists a game, and that's incredible that he's gone up from just 0.7 steals a game. You see that his blocks from 0.2 all the way up to 0.7, rebounds 3.2 all the way up to 5.6. And so that's pretty good. And then the 3-point percentage, look, he's gone from 31.4 up to 34.5. And the field goal percentage, almost 7%, 41.8 all the way up to 48.5. So he's been very efficient on the offensive end and climbing. I think the one thing that he's probably got to work on some more is free throw shooting. But look, for a guy that I think was really, I would say, an afterthought in that the DeJounte Murray trade, which sent him over to the Pelicans and then sent Dyson Daniels over to the Atlanta Hawks. Like, I think that he's done an incredible job. And I think it's just clear to me that he's the most improved player of SWBA. And so let me know in the comments here, do you believe that Dyson Daniels is the SWBA most improved player right now? Do you think he's going to finish as the most improved player? And so next, I want to talk about the MVP watch. And I think that it really comes down to 2 players, and just 2 players that, I think that they have played extremely well. And so right now, my favorite in this is going to be not Jimmy Butler, but it's going to be Shai Alexander. I think that, look, Shai Alexander has been terrific here. And I just love the fact that, man, he is in the top category, not only for just scoring, but he's also number 3 in steals. And so that is a good indication of just how well he is playing on both ends of the floor. He's averaging 32.8 points a game, 5.1 rebounds a game, and 6.2 assists a game. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, look, I think he's been huge to OKC. He has been really the engine for them. And look, we've talked about this before, about how OKC continues to get these double-digit wins. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, man, he is that guy. And I think closely behind him, and I'm pretty sure that this is probably going to be a debate. I know that, a lot of people would probably say it's Nikola Jokic. And I agree. I think that, you could probably make a strong case for him as well. I think that he's played spectacular. And considering that, I think that with his roster, you could definitely say it's probably not as good as OKC. Not probably. They're just not as good. I mean, that roster has changed over a lot since they won their championship. Jamal Murray, look, he's just not the same player right now. Michael Porter Jr., he's been very up and down. Aaron Gordon's been in and out of the lineup. They haven't been the same since they lost, KCP defensively out there, and the bench has been just atrocious. And so I think that this guy has had to take a lot on. And look, he is top 3 in scoring. He's top 3 in scoring, rebounds, assists, and steals. I mean, that's wild. I mean, he's averaging 29 points a game, 12.9 rebounds a game, and 10.4 assists a game. And so I think that this is going to be an incredible race down the stretch. But right now, if I could just go ahead and put my vote in, I'm going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And so lastly, that leads me to the last part of the show here, and we are looking at a future prospect. And so this player is not eligible for the SWBA draft right now, because we don't do the one and done situation here, which I think is, terrific. I think that, players definitely should go out, give themselves a chance to really go out here and develop and get better before they make this decision. And then I think a lot of people can argue, well, hey, if they feel like that they're ready to go ahead and make this business decision, I mean, they should maybe go ahead and do it. I mean, that's something that maybe that comes to the commissioner there of SWU. Maybe that is a rule change here. But going back to a tweet here that I actually dropped out, and this was me taking a look here at some Pac-12 play, and this was Arizona versus Utah. And shout out to Arizona. They're doing a great job there in the Pac-12. Could maybe catch up with UCLA. I think that that's probably going to be one of the better conferences to take a look at there in SWU. And so what we're looking at today is a player that he's a freshman, and I think that he's a guy that really stands out, and he reminds me a lot of one of my favorite players right now in the league, and a player that I've already mentioned here in today's show, and I'm thinking of a Jarrett Allen type of player. And I immediately start to think of Corey Yams. And so, I like this guy a lot. I got a chance to look at his game. And then we're just going to break down just some of the things that he's been able to do on the court. I know that, he's definitely been a star watch here amongst a lot of different players in the nation. But I think that once he becomes eligible, I think that he's going to be a fabulous pro, because he's 6'11", he's 233, he's just a freshman, but he's averaging 11.6 points a game. And he's getting 1.8 rebounds a game offensively. So he does a terrific job as far as giving you second chance opportunities. And then he leads the team with 6.4 rebounds. And so, I think when you're talking about a big that can go out and get rebounds for you, we just talked about this with the Clippers and the Cavs game and Zubac, and how important that is to get rebounds, and especially offensive rebounds. And so if you're able to really, go ahead and maximize this skill set, this is something that I think that any SWBA team is going to want. And so that is, point number one. I think that is why I would think he's going to be a future prospect. And then number two, you have to like his field goal percentage. And so 65.2% from the field. I know that, he is a guy that understands how to come off the pick and roll. I think he understands what to do with the basketball when it comes off the rim as well. So he's very much a player that knows how to make it happen there. His shot creation is not bad as well. And so he's a player that I think that big, that size, you love the ability to put it down on the ground. I don't know if he'll ever be one of those players that maybe he extends out to the three-point line, but because he's comfortable in putting it down on the deck and he has some shot creation, look, I think that being a player that can maybe stretch out and knock down the mid-range jumper is just as good as knocking down the three-point shot as a big man. So that's something that maybe he grows into. And then I think that you have to love the fact that he has the strength right now. And so he's just a freshman. And so you can imagine what's going to happen once you get into an SWBA program. And then, they start to really ramp you up with their trainers and things like that. You're focusing on this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you're not just going to class. And so I think that, look, he has the real potential to fill out and be even better and be even stronger there. So you got to like that, because you're going to need that against some of the bigger bodies in this league to definitely go out there and post up and things like that. And then, the next thing that I love about him is he comes from a wrestling background. And so because of that, look, I think that is one of the things where you see him create a lot of different leverage on players, right? Because I think that when it comes down to wrestling, it comes down to the art of balance. And so when he's posting up and when he's maneuvering through traffic and things like that, I think it's because you've had that type of background. You understand body positioning and you understand how to rock, I think, a defender back a little bit more. So I think that could be something that could be a superpower for him. And you love the fact that this guy is all about the spotlight, right? Because that is essentially what SWBA is all about. When you get to this level, that's where you get all the cameras, the action, all that stuff like that. this guy, look, if there's a such thing as, an all engagement team, this is that guy. This guy loves to be on social media. So he definitely has that type of juice. And speaking of which, man, this guy's a pretty brash guy. Like he's a guy that, look, he does play with that type of juice, and he's very much franchise focused. And so that's something that I can tell you in talking to, some SWBA scouts and coaches. They like players that will lock into their system, because you're not necessarily going to have that same type of role that you had in the collegiate, level that you're going to have here in the pros. And so that is something that I think could really win over a lot of coaches and scouts. And so anyway, look, his last game that I was tweeting about, he had 4 points in that one, 8 rebounds. He had 3 assists there against Utah. And he had the third best plus minus on the team, and they won 74-68. So shout out to them. And then shout out to Corey Yams, who is a player that I think could certainly be a future prospect here at SWBA. And so that leads us to the end of the show here. And so I want to just go ahead and thank everybody out there for giving us a listen in today's show. And so, look, this was episode 1. I don't know if this is going to be the last episode. I mean, that's going to be something that is up to, the executive producers here at SimWorld. And so what I will say is this, if you've ever watched Gladiator and Russell Crowe, and you see that portion where they're in the ring, and then you have either the thumbs up or you have the thumbs down. And so hopefully we get the thumbs up, and I think to get to that thumbs up, it would mean a lot to us here if you guys go ahead and just engage there in the social media feed here. Let them know that, hey, we want to vote for this show moving forward, because if you do, we're going to be talking about nothing but SWBA. And who knows, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe the next day, maybe the next day. But anyway, just joking out there. And as we always say, look, make sure that you see the game, be the game. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out all the content around the world. And so for myself, this is SWBA Today. I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace. See the game, be the game.